Welcome to Articulate This, where we dive into the minds shaping tomorrow's technologies. Today we're joined by Len Covello, the CTO behind Engage People's groundbreaking loyalty solutions. Ever wondered how AI and blockchain are revolutionizing loyalty programs? Len unpacks these cutting-edge technologies that are setting a new standard for customer retention. Imagine paying with points as easily as cash. Engage People's Pay with Points makes it a reality, removing friction and enhancing your shopping experience. So what does the future hold? Hit subscribe and don't miss out as Len shares his vision on the evolution of loyalty programs and why resilience and confidence are keys for aspiring tech moguls. This is Articulate This. Let's get into it. Hey Len, how are you?
Good, Pat. How are you?
Not bad. So tell me about your first technology company. You started at 18?
I did. I think I fall into that category of people who initially disappointed their parents. It was university time, and we had started building just marketing style websites. So very much, some images at the time. It was Macromedia Flash. I don't even remember the version. And started reaching out to people because we honestly found this a lot of fun, myself and a close friend. And didn't really look at this as a business. So we started building up these sites, spoke to some other organizations that were looking for support in this area. And it kind of just morphed into a business. It started generating revenue so that got rid of the education side of the balance of my life and started the company from there. So back then, just traditional websites. And as we started getting better at it and building web applications, we were able to provide services. So from a professional services company, ultimately into where we are today.
What were your biggest challenges and learnings from that experience?
The business acumen, the technology was easy at the time. I'm often reminded of that as we hire younger people and just see how incredibly smart they are and the amount of time they invest in learning new things and educating themselves. That was easy. We always had this mindset of, we can do some pretty cool things. It's how do we get in front of the right people? And I didn't have any formal training on that. It wasn't something that naturally came to me. So it was, understanding how to build a business specifically in this space, how to sell, and ultimately grow that out. And I'll easily admit that I'm still learning to this day a lot about that.
That's a good segue, because I was just going to ask you, how was transitioning from a young entrepreneur to now the CTO of Engage People?
I definitely had bumps along the way. I'll credit having incredible partners. That's been the first thing. I'm always reminded of a TED Talk I saw that basically suggests that no one can do anything of magnitude alone. There's definitely people, whether you're overtly giving them recognition or they're kind of sitting in the background. So it started with that. And I've had some incredible mentors along the way, people that have taught me lessons. And I've always tried to be, very cognizant of people I admire, how they approach things, what they do. And it's helped a lot. I've definitely made mistakes, that have impacted myself just personally in my growth when it comes to business as well as the organization. If you could go back in time, you'd change some things, but always try to learn. So that's been the hardest thing, but also pretty rewarding to see where I am today versus how I started.
What key advice would you offer to aspiring tech entrepreneurs?
Be confident in what you offer. I'm often, and I want to say this respectfully, there's a tremendous amount of respect to give anyone for becoming an entrepreneur, regardless of what the idea is, regardless of whether you think there's merit in it or not. We've all seen companies that have, become unicorns and then blown up. And sometimes you'll sit there and say, was it actually a good idea? But there's still something to be said for that effort, right? Not a lot of people are willing to quit what they're at or, dive headfirst into something. So I'd say be confident in the fact that once you've made that decision, you've already shown that you've got a lot of resiliency and a lot of, just a lot of, I'm going to say balls, essentially, to do this. So apologies to the audience on that one. But you have to build off of that and have that confidence. Again, the idea is if they're thought out, there's typically a market for everything. If you can stay on top of things, there's a path to being successful. So again, be resilient, but have that confidence.
What sparked your interest in loyalty? And, how did your previous experience as an entrepreneur influence your time now at Engage?
So we fell into loyalty. I think as I do talks today, or we meet at these conferences, there isn't anyone that woke up in the morning as a kid and said, "I wanted to get into the loyalty space." Most people will argue they have no idea what it is. Uh, it's always fun to talk to people and explain what you do, and the easiest answer is, "Hey, do you have a credit card? Do you earn points?" That's what we do, and you kind of stop the conversation there. We're solving a problem. In Engage, build solutions have always been of the mindset that the organizations I've been a part of solve problems. Technology is the tool set we use to do that. And the discipline really is relevant. If it wasn't loyalty, it'd be something else. But loyalty presented itself. It was an industry that was primed for modernization, for innovation. And then we learned a lot about it and kind of thought, it's a really cool space to be in. There's a lot of cool things you can do. So that was it. I didn't go looking for it. It kind of presented itself and was pretty interesting to move forward with.
Can you discuss, the evolution of Engage People, its unique approach to loyalty programs compared to traditional models?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we started in this space by just doing professional services. We saw traditional loyalty programs, how they were run, and we immediately, I'll say being green and not having any experience, thought we could impact the loyalty space quicker than we could. And that just comes to the, large organizations take time to adopt change. They take time to move forward on things, to make decisions, because there's implications there. So we knew we could modernize this space. We knew that there were better ways to do things, and we were lucky enough to be following along the progression of e-commerce, and that really changed a lot of the way people interact and shop for things. And loyalty is just another currency. It's a backed fiat. It's not a fiat currency, but it's a backed currency. So as e-commerce introduced new capabilities, new functions, we learned a lot about how people interact. We knew we could do that as well. We knew we had the technical prowess to do so. So our evolution has been really just adopting technology very quickly and bringing that into the loyalty space.
How do you see the integration of technologies like AI and blockchain revolutionize loyalty programs in the near future?
We tend to be pragmatic about new technology. There's a blue sky kind of side of things where you talk about all the cool things that could happen. The benefit of being in the space is understanding what it takes to adopt new technology and where the appetite sits. I think blockchain always had some benefits that could come to the industry, but it was always mixed up with crypto, and that confused a lot of people, and a lot of people, couldn't separate the two, and therefore were very hot early on this. And there was conferences, and it monopolized the topics at these conferences, and then immediately as people saw the volatility in some of the cryptocurrencies and some of the abuse, they wanted nothing to do with it. So the first part is education there, and letting people know that there are different ways ultimately to leverage blockchain technology. But we live in an industry where they're really trying to address things that are broken as opposed to adopting new technologies, especially when it comes to things like ledgers. So I think blockchain, I don't see an immediate kind of expansion in the loyalty space for that specific technology. On the flip side, AI and what we see with machine learning, there's a very practical utilization of that technology in a lot of spaces, and I think loyalty is no different. So we've always been talking about personalization and ultimately how we connect one-on-one with the consumer. That's that engagement. That's what you get with loyalty. And I think AI presents a lot of opportunity there, again, managed properly. So we're watching what others do, watching what OpenAI does. It's just, as a technologist, it's incredible. It's amazing to watch. But I see a lot more of that being introduced into the space, even immediately.
Engage has seen remarkable growth in transactions and point redemptions. So what do you attribute this success, and how does technology play a role?
We've removed friction. So a piece of technology we have in market today, a solution we call Access Plus, really saw that loyalty currency as a currency, and it was addressing the problem of our industry shifted from a catalog that lasted a year and people were redeeming for the proverbial toaster, or the television set, or there's different rewards they were looking for, but they were aspirational. And then it moved to cashback programs and gift cards. And that was really to address the choice. So a typical consumer would say, you don't really have what I'm looking for, or I think it's expensive, it's overpriced in loyalty. So let me take that $100 gift card for X store. It could be Sephora, it could be Best Buy, wherever that may be. But that created disintermediation with the customer. I no longer remember where that came from. We're all guilty of it. We've got gift cards sitting in a drawer somewhere in a back pocket, and you don't remember where you got it. Was it a birthday gift? Was it something you purchased? Did it come from the loyalty program? So if I'm the sponsor of a loyalty program and someone's redeemed for a gift card, apologies, that's a bit of a failure because they don't have that connection back. So with Access Plus, what we did is we've created a network, really a global network that brings points into the checkout flow. So no different than Visa, MasterCard, and American Express are accepted. Your points are now accepted at checkout. So the customer sees that relationship. The loyalty program may or may not have sent me directly to that website, but when I'm going to make that purchase, I'm using my points as that currency, and I immediately can look back to the loyalty program, create that connection, and say, Aeroplan, Bank of America, you name the loyalty program, enabled me to redeem my points on Amazon. And that's really that connection and where that loyalty and relationship is formed. Back to your question, enabling that really saw a tremendous spike in redemptions and the utilization of those points, because it moved from a intentional redemption where someone was actively looking at something to do that to very much more reactive transaction where I'm already shopping at these retailers' websites, and now I can use that currency.
So the concept of pay with points is quite innovative. So how did you guys come up with that idea? And what challenges, you talked a little bit about the implementation, but what challenges have you faced with the implementation?
So this concept has been there for years. I remember specifically our CEO, Anthony, and I looking kind of at the website back in the day. It was Indigo, a Canadian book retailer, and one of our clients wanting to get some of their product offering. And we thought, would the easiest thing just be at checkout to use your points? So we started, and this was the chicken and egg scenario. Is how big is your network of points? And at the time, e-commerce, not in its infancy, but still fairly new for a lot of organizations. So it was sacred not to touch the checkout flow or the checkout process. So as we met with, very large North American and even global players who had e-commerce presence, it was difficult to convince them the value and what they'd see in accepting this currency and understanding that currency. At the same time, without having the breadth in retail, it's hard to go to large loyalty programs and get them on the network as well. So we built essentially what was an elegant hack at the time. We built a browser extension that allowed us to prove the concept out with some very major organizations. The adoption was tremendous, so much so that we had to ultimately shut down parts of this. But what it did is it brought us into the right meeting rooms with the right individuals who saw the sheer volume of redemptions in a short period of time. And that enabled us to move forward. So it wasn't a straight line in. Back to advice for entrepreneurs, it rarely is a straight path to success. But with Access Plus, using that path allowed us to get in front of the right people and ultimately bring this product to market.
Another, when we talk about how incorporating loyalty into every transaction, it is gaining prominence. It's very popular for users. How do you see the integration of advanced payment options and technologies further reinforcing the role of loyalty programs and bolstering customer retention?
So as the technology advances, it just makes it easier. And it's kind of that snowball effect where, the consumer expects it at a certain point. So their expectation is at every transaction, I'm earning something, I have the opportunity to burn something or potentially both. And again, as whether it's POS terminals, whether different ways payments are accepted, continue to evolve and advance with technology, this becomes a bit of a requirement. So a lot of the organizations we work with, the merchant gateways, the POS software providers, or even the hardware providers, are very familiar with loyalty and understand the value of that. So we work closely with them on the next solutions they're bringing to market or even the enhancements to their current solutions. It was that snowball effect where it's expected from the customer now. It's kind of table stakes.
I like what you said earlier about the, removing friction, because as this evolves, loyalty programs, I'm not sure if making them more invisible is the right word, but it becomes just, it's part of the system there. It's not, we talk about 5, 10 years ago was you had to get a catalog, you had to look through it. Now it's kind of like click, click, and you're done. So that's amazing investment just in that in itself.
100%. Anything that's really successful, in my opinion, is exactly what you said. It's invisible, it's elegant, it's just part of that flow, that process. So that's our goal. Our goal is not to be obtrusive, not to put a stop in what a customer is doing day to day. We're talking a lot about burn today, but we also have earn solutions as well. And really our goal is to just be part of that flow, a very elegant process that a customer goes upon their day, they live their life. And we want to be at that point of interaction with them and enable that transaction. And it doesn't have to be a fiat transaction where the currency could just be a reward or recognition. We want to be part of that and do it in a very fluid manner, really, so that there is no friction.
Further to that point, it kind of leads into my next question. I was going to ask you, like, with the integration of mobile wallets, contactless payments, or other cutting edge, payment technologies influencing the usage and adoption of loyalty programs, where do you see them gaining, traction?
So contactless it's just everywhere. It's funny. You sit at a restaurant and you split a bill, or you just sit back and you watch a coffee shop and it's almost no one is using cash anymore. Very few people are inserting that card. So it's either a tap from the physical plastic or it's a tap with a mobile device. And then that's just the segment of people that are purchasing there. A lot of people are purchasing an app and just picking things up or having things dropped off. So that advancement actually helps. It helps enable, because everything is software driven, and whenever things are software driven and API driven, it gives you a lot of flexibility to integrate with those systems. So really, as payments continue to evolve, the way in which people make those payments and transact changes, it just helps and ultimately enables the customer to have more features.
It's amazing about this. So it's helped a certain segment of customers. Like you said, the friction is gone, but now I've seen it disrupt the whole traditional play. And I'll give an example with my kids in school. There's a school trip where the facility no longer has cash. So if the kid is, in elementary school, they don't have credit cards. They don't have, they potentially will not have a smartphone yet. So for payments, so that's a whole new, I guess maybe it's a future opportunity that could come about with that.
100%. So there's, I'll call it opportunity for a lot of people, and not so much for the parents when it comes to this space. You're either enabling accounts, or you're enabling, you're extending the wallet that you have on your device to your child's device, if in fact they do have a device. So a lot of opportunity for spending without permission anymore, just based on some rules. But there is gaps as people move cashless, depending on who the audience is. And again, you mentioned it's opportunity for people to address that.
How can loyalty programs bridge the gap between online and offline interaction that drives engagement and usage?
It's the old omni-channel world that everyone talked about early on. You really get that today with a loyalty program. Again, because the program isn't the way people just think it of, I earn some points and I burn those points. It's within that app. It's how I'm setting my preferences, how I'm opting into offers, it's how they're communicating with me. That's all part of the loyalty program. So it's very much a solution centric. I don't want to say specifically app centric, because it could exist outside of that. But if we think a lot of players that have a very strong online and offline presence, they're using their mobile solutions today or that program to create that cohesiveness. So I can opt into offers on my device, which I get a notification about, and walk into store and get rewarded on those offers, or get those sales, or learn about things. Perhaps it's early access to sales. So we're really leveraging the functionalities and the capabilities of what falls under the auspice of a loyalty program to create that cohesiveness.
Now, let's look more into the future. What trends or technologies do you foresee emerging in the loyalty program sector?
We're seeing a lot more paid loyalty. So loyalty has typically been that, you join up with a program, they issue you a card and a number, and you can earn. Amazon Prime is a loyalty program. People may not realize that today. It's a paid loyalty program, and really the reward is the ability to get either faster delivery or less expensive delivery. We're seeing a lot of organizations do that. Still test to learn. Some people are coming out with offers or subscriptions that might be a little expensive. So ensuring people see the value in that. But I think that's something really big for customers to have. And it ties back into other parts of loyalty that are quite popular, and that moves to status, things like of that nature. So a big part of loyalty programs for a certain segment of the audience isn't that I can earn and redeem. That's secondary. It's the status you get. It's the ability to get to the front of the line, get on the plane earlier, get an upgrade to the hotel room, get access to X points more when you're transacting. So we're seeing a lot more of that with those types of programs. So that big company out there called Status Smash Friends of ours that have an organization built on issuing status and working with organizations to manage that. I think that's a huge opportunity for growth. And again, not just in the airline and hotel space, which people typically have seen that, or the travel space in general, but coming to a lot of other types of loyalty programs. So that's one thing we see happening in a lot more partnerships. Organizations have become very comfortable in what they do, what they offer, and extending their programs and that customer journey, not just with the products they offer and the services they offer, but having partnerships, understanding that, I'll interact with a coffee shop. We'll pick on Starbucks, and I also interact with Uber, and we've seen those promotions come together. So it's the ride to the coffee shop, the ride back out, perhaps to an entertainment organization. Maybe it's a movie theater, then ultimately to gas and to grocer, and then to an FI bank that you bank with. Those are all complementary services that can work together. So a lot of people, again, are starting to be confident in what they offer, not keeping with the closed loop solution, but really bringing in other players.
In your opinion, how will you see the relationship between consumers, retailers, and financial institutions evolve with the advancements of loyalty programs?
It's funny, loyalty has been one of those things that I don't think people realize the value of it. So if you're not in the space, you may not be attuned to the fact that organizations want you to use points. So they encourage burn. So I think that's the first misnomer, is people think they want you to have points expire or whatnot. The first piece is they want you to use those points because that shows engagement. Part two of that is, there's over $400 billion worth of points issued each year in the loyalty space. So it's an immense amount of dollars out there in the space. Beyond that, because that amount of currency is out, it's actually a revenue generating and tremendously valuable asset to organizations. So when we're going through the pandemic, a lot of airlines leverage the value of their loyalty program to fund the airline, so they could borrow against it. They could show it on their balance sheet and show the value there. So it's a business within a business. With that, the services that companies offer, a lot of times there's a race to the bottom. If you think about banks, there's a lot of challenger banks trying to work with the unbanked. So that may bring pressure down onto traditional FIs on how they work with that customer. So this is an example of something that could change that interaction that you're asking about, of that consumer ultimately. Do they look at an FI now as the place I use a checking and savings account, or a place I go to get a traditional mortgage, or do they look at them very differently? And that relationship changes.
So what's next for Engage People? Are there any upcoming projects or goals you're excited about?
Absolutely. So the network is a big thing for us, and expanding out the Pay with Points network. We continue to enhance our other products, solutions, and offerings, and that's wonderful to see how we can, push the envelope even further with what we bring to market. But as we add new partners in the space, both on the earn and burn side, we had a press release last year where we brought gas to redemption offerings, so you could use your points at the gas station at organizations such as BP in the US. To see the adoption of that was really incredible. The amount of people that took up those offers and are using their points. And it definitely makes sense when you look at it, the economic pressures that exist on individuals and families today. So supplementing that with a loyalty currency. So a lot of big things you can expect from us are announcements of partnerships with some really very, very cool organizations, not always large. You hear the releases from us with the Amazons, the PayPals, things of that nature. But there's also a lot of niche organizations that have the opportunity to be agile and introduce some really cool things. So then the growth of the network is something we're really excited about.
Amazing. So what opportunities and challenges do you foresee in the global loyalty space in the upcoming year? And how can solution providers strategize to adapt the evolving consumer needs?
Challenges, I think, that people are, or Gen Z, Gen Y, they're less loyal, if that makes sense. So they're less tied, and I'll say their appetite to move is greater. Should they not be serviced properly? So it's an opportunity and a challenge. Acquiring members, customers, probably has never been easier than today. But that opportunity to lose them has never been more prevalent today as well. So I think that's an opportunity and a challenge globally. As spend changes, not 100% certain economically, globally, what are we looking at? Are we moving into a recession? Are people just feeling the pinch to a certain level where they may exit certain spend categories where they used to be? I know a lot of people go through their monthly bills and perhaps are leading services such as Netflix or other subscription services. So, ensuring that there's value is really important, and a tremendous way to bring value to customers are loyalty programs. So I think, again, big opportunity if managed properly, but equally, if you don't believe in loyalty and if you don't run that program efficiently, there's an opportunity to lose customers as well.
What are consumers demanding from their cards, FIs? And when it comes to rewards and loyalty, what's changing and why?
Perks is a big thing. So it's funny. It's one of those things a lot of people demand, but I don't know that the utilization is there. I always encourage people, you subscribe to a card, you're paying an annual fee. Did you know? And then you can fill in the blanks there. Did you know you have insurance on any vehicles that you rent? Did you know you have a concierge that you can call that can just help you with anything? They can help you find a rental car. They can help you get tickets to Taylor Swift concert for your kids or for yourself if you like. There's so many services that are available to a customer once they're part of an FI and once they're part of that program. So I think customers are becoming more attuned to what's available there. So we're seeing a lot more product mix changing to go after a certain demographic and say, subscribe to this card and pay your annual fee and we'll give you X or we'll give you Y. So I see that product offering and that value proposition getting a lot more attention from our clients these days.
That is a really good point, because I also traveling would book your trip, and then you're being told to buy insurance, but meanwhile your card already covered it, so you're like double for something you didn't need to because your perks were there. It's true. Attention to whatever perks you got.
There's a number of travel cards that people aren't aware of or aren't reminded of the fact that it includes a companion ticket. So you can book a trip and get another ticket either for free or for $100, which is, has incredible value if you take advantage of that. A lot of people forget.
Campaign with points give rise to improved loyalty to issuers, merchants, and even certain cards.
100%. We see tremendous data coming back on the interaction with someone that pays with points. The spend is over 30% greater on that card. When the consumer is using points as part of that transaction, there's 3 to 4 more transactions from someone that uses pay with points. So again, basket size is bigger, frequency is bigger, time on site is bigger. So there's just huge advantage to offering the ability to pay with points at a retail location or online on an e-commerce site.
You talked about earlier, implementing the pay with points at the gas stations last year. Where do you see that going? Is there other areas of expansion you're looking for that?
We are. So we're working with organizations today, again, globally that a consumer would interact with. Groceries is a big place. And then a lot of the quick service things. So working with an organization today that manages a lot of the POS terminals at airports. So as a consumer, you see that immediate tie into whether it's a co-branded credit card or a travel loyalty program. And now I'm sitting in the airport and I want to use points, or I didn't know I could use points, but I want to buy that $10 bottle of water. However, I can't justify the $10 bottle of water. Using points for that transaction is a big thing. And then the services themselves. So, taking X amount off your monthly subscription and using your points to do that is something coming to market as well. So we're excited about those areas of opportunity, along with just the traditional, walk into a grocery store, walking into a large clothing chain, and having to use your points at checkout.
What's the eventual evolution of points ubiquity going to look like?
It'll be a currency. It'll be, that's the perfect word there. It's ubiquitous. So people will look at their savings account, look at their checking account. They're open to spend on their credit card. and another value will exist in loyalty currencies. So you'll be able to sit there and say, in this loyalty program, I have $470 to spend, and I was thinking about buying X products, and now I don't have to, extend my credit on my credit card to do that, or I don't have to wait till payday to make that purchase. I've got this currency that I've earned, and there's still the mindset that it's a free currency for consumers. So you effectively believe you're getting that item for free, which to a certain degree you are. But at the end of the day, you're rewarded for doing something. So that is your currency.
Let's have a little bit more fun and get to know you a little bit better, Len. So if you had to choose a completely different career path, what would it be and why?
There's a lot of things I'd like to do that I'm not qualified nor capable of doing. So all the athletic stuff, I love sports, but none of that would come into play. I like to work on my own a lot of times, and I like to see the results or the fruits of the labor. So there's parts of me that sit there and say I could, be a woodworker or work as a trade, and I'd get a lot of satisfaction out of that and have a lot of time to reflect. So that's something that would be great. I've loved the medicine field. So again, not sure I'm qualified or capable, but that's always been something that I love and see rewarding in helping people and doing that. So not sure if any of those would fit. I think the easiest one for me to at least learn to get into might be a trade. So that could be something. I think my opportunity to be a premier football player in the World Cup has since passed.
Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of technology that might surprise our listeners?
I don't know if they'd surprise. I still love sports. I love to stay active. I find it's a wonderful opportunity to stay fit, to release, if you will. So, you have tough weeks, you have tough days. So that opportunity to get there, I love the social aspect of team sports. And I think there's a lot to be learned about working together with a group to achieve a goal. So that's something I love to do. Got three boys at home, so anything I get to do with them, travel is a great thing. A perk of this organization and my position here is we do get to travel a lot, so I get to experience new cities. So that's something I love to do as well. And then reading is always great for me. So just having that opportunity to sit on a plane selfishly gives me that quiet time to just. I'm still a fan of the paper. So I open up the hard copy or the soft cover book and I'll read.
Is there anything you're currently reading or watching? Any recommendations?
So I love to read documentaries, not documentaries, biographies. Sorry, I love to watch documentaries. Right now, I'm just finishing up the book on Johnny Ives from Apple. So how he got into the space, ultimately how him and his team were built at Apple. It was pre-Steve Jobs, how Steve Jobs was reintroduced, and just their mindset on creating things. So it's inspirational. That's what I like about a lot of these books that I read, and then always reading books on self-improvement on the business side of things. So, I can learn a lot just by interacting day to day. Again, working with people, but just learning how other people have dealt with situations, both success and failure.
What does a typical day look like for Len Covello?
It could be anything. So I'm typically booked into a number of meetings that I like to meet with the team early on. I get up pretty early, so I'm a 5:30 riser that allows me to clean up any emails, Slack messages, or other correspondence I have to have in place, plan for the day, make sure I'm ready for the day, for the week, message out to people that I need to communicate with on things I may be expecting of them. And then the day starts. So it's a pretty agile day from 9 o'clock on. So a number of calls. Our world has changed since we've moved to a remote office, and a lot of organizations globally have. So the day could be anywhere from being in the office in a comfortable pair of track pants and a hoodie to being on podcasts and having the opportunity to talk with people and everything in between.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining today, Len. But before we go, for people that want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
LinkedIn, I would say, is the best way to reach out and have a conversation with myself or anyone from our team. You can learn about our products on our website, engagepeople.com. But again, LinkedIn is best, and I read through everything that comes in, and I will respond if there's value. And what I mean by that is I think we all get spammed in a lot of the current methods that exist today. But I will read everything and love the opportunity to speak with anyone, whether it's offer some advice, talk about opportunities, anything I can help with anybody, or can respond to, definitely will.
Amazing. Well, thanks again for joining. Take care, Len.
No problem. Thank you, Pat.